My name is Rob Wallace. I am your life coach and spiritual mentor, and this is Self Love with Law of Attraction. Hello, wonderful, happy people. Welcome to Module 15 of your Self Love and Law of Attraction course. Folks, your higher self is navigating you through these wonderful seas of knowledge. You're on your way to living the life that you desire. Now, today's topic is it's not your fault. And it's true, people. It's not your fault. It is not your fault. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are asking, is Robert trying to mess with me? Is Robert messing with my mind? Well, where did I pick up that phrase, it's not your fault? I got it, of course, from the movie Good Will Hunting. And when Robin Williams said to Matt Damon, it's not your fault, well, that was Matt Damon's reaction. It was like, are you messing with my mind? Are you messing with my mind? Now, in the film Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon's character was a maths genius, but he was working as a janitor. And the basic story is, there's a guy who's a genius who doesn't realise his own potential. And it takes a father figure like Robin Williams to bring him out of his negative situation, you see. You see, a judgmental person would just look at Matt Damon's character and think, leave him where he is, he's a bum, right? But Robin Williams, he looked at Matt Damon, recognised his talent, and raised him to a better version of himself. And the way that Robin Williams raised Matt Damon to a better version of himself was to say to Matt Damon, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You see? And Matt Damon had to stop blaming himself for his past. It wasn't about him blaming other people. It was about him having to get rid of judgment at all, especially towards himself. And once he was able to do that, Matt Damon was then able to focus on his gift, which he could then give back to the world. You see, I've been talking about how you need to make yourself full of use. Therefore, you need to forgive and give way to the natural flow of energy so that you can make yourself full of that divine love energy and give it back. Matt Damon opened the floodgates. He cried his heart out. And honestly, I cry my heart out every time I watch that scene. You have to. Crying's a release. It's a way of forgiving the energy. It's a way of allowing that energy to flow, right? To cry with joy and to say, go on, you can do it, Matt, right? So folks, that's what I'm saying. He opened that flow of energy. Instead of blocking it, he allowed it to move naturally. And therefore, he developed himself in that skill set area, which I believe was mathematics. And then after that, he was a way to give back to the world that wonderful knowledge about maths that he has, instead of working as a janitor. Working as a janitor is not a bad thing, but when you're someone who has that higher calling, you need to move forward. You have no choice. You need to move forward. You can't stay where you are when you've got a higher calling, right? Stop blaming yourself. That's the only time I'm going to get strict with you, folks, okay? Stop blaming yourself. Okay? Love yourself. Now, for some of you, I'm not sure how you're going to take this news, but what I'm trying to say is if you're listening to this and you feel that in your life that you've done something wrong and you keep blaming yourself about it, well, folks, you need to learn to forgive. And what I'm going to talk about is what the actual word forgive means, okay? Because once you understand what forgive means, then you'll get into the process of reconciling with yourself. The word forgive means to give way, okay? It means you are for giving. You're giving way before that which is in front of you. And what that really is, in terms of the grander scheme of things, is really the flow of energy. Energy, as it comes in, must go out. And as energy goes out, it must come back in, you see? If you block energy at any point, whereas if you don't allow energy to give itself out, or if you don't allow energy to come back in, that is you being unforgiving. You are not giving way to the flow of energy. And here's something else. I spoke to you guys about the past. If you are someone who's feeling guilty about something, I don't care what it is, okay? It's not my concern. If you're feeling guilty about anything, remember what I said with the analogy of the past, about letting go of the past? Well, whatever you're feeling guilty about, my friend, it was done in the past, okay? The past is over. The past is dissolved. If you're feeling any guilt over anything that comes from the past, then you're feeling guilty about a memory because the past doesn't exist. You are talking yourself into guilt. The past is gone. There's not a soul in this world who has the right to judge you. Not me, not a court judge, not any authority on this planet. Now, here's a wonderful thing to consider. We spoke about who the creator is in module 1, okay? And so what I'll say is this. The great creator is the only law. Love is the only law. Therefore, if there's anyone or anything that has the right to judge anyone or anything, then that's going to be love, the great creator. Now, folks, here's how it's going to work. If you felt so guilty about something that you wanted to be taken to court and tried, and you thought you were going to ask the most highest authority in all of existence, and that is God, universe, source energy, whatever you want to call the one great creator, then you would ask them to put you on trial, right? You would say, put me on trial for what I feel guilty about. And here's what's going to happen. Because you're at one with the creator, you're going to walk into court and you're going to find that that court is empty, right? There's no one in the judge's seat. There's no one to prosecute you. There's no jury. There's no one. You're all alone in that court because you are the judge. You are the jury. You are the prosecutor. Okay? And therefore, there are no witnesses, and therefore, the great creator is refusing to be a witness to your guilt. There is no such thing as blame. And I know for some people, this is a really deep, hard thing to wrap your head around. And I mean, if you do blame yourself for something, Maybe for all of you who are listening to this, that something could vary in certain degrees. But what I'm talking about applies to any of those degrees. If you're feeling guilty about something, then put yourself on trial. Go into meditation, put yourself in trial with the Creator. You're going to find yourself in a courtroom, in your imagination, with no one there. You are the jury, you are the judge, you are the prosecution. Are you going to prosecute yourself? No one has the right to judge you. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Now, I know that comes from the Bible, but folks, in terms of law of attraction, guess what that means? If you wish to live in a world where people are judged, then you too will have judgment coming right back onto you. The way society is structured creates the illusion of judgment. And I've said in previous modules that no matter how much people judge others, people judge themselves most and people judge themselves the worst. People are more harsh on themselves than they are of other people when it comes to judgment. And therefore, when you learn to stop judging or blaming yourself, you'll then find the secret to not blaming others, you see? Because you're going to know someone who's extremely judgmental about everyone around them. But here's the truth. When you find a person is extremely judgmental regarding all the people around them, and they love to voice their judgmental opinions, you're going to find that within themselves, they judge themselves the worst. And that's just a fact, because there's no one on this planet who loves himself who feels the need to judge anyone. When you're aligned with love, when you love yourself, there is no judgment at all. There's no judgment towards others, and there's no judgment that you're making towards yourself. And you've extracted that judgment of yourself, and therefore judgment has gone. You've got no reason to judge yourself because all you feel is love for yourself, and you have absolutely no reason to judge others. Now, in the last 20 years, the subject of narcissism has crept up into society, and a lot of people who have felt let down by other people have often labelled the ones that they felt let down by as narcissists. And what I want to say, folks, is that you can't go judging and blaming others. Do you know why? Because if you feel the need to label someone, especially in the form of a judgment, I mean, you can only label people through judgment, then the phrase, "it takes one to know one," really makes sense. Because if you view someone as chaotic, that only comes from a mind of chaos. It means you cannot see the good in that person. If you view someone as narcissistic, that is, if you get so angry at a person and you're calling them narcissistic, folks, that's only coming from a narcissistic point of view. It takes one to know one. But listen, that phrase, "it takes one to know one," well, it actually means a lot more when you understand who you really are. Because when you understand that you are love and you are the one to love, and when you realize that, that's because it takes one to know one. You see, you can only judge someone else's characteristics from the same state of mind that you're in. So if you're judging yourself or if you're judging others, however you're judging yourself, Well, folks, you're going to that state, that mentality, in order to align with that sort of judgment. So if you're judging someone as angry, if you're walking around going, oh, that person's angry, well, that's coming from a place of anger. You see, I mean, you can observe someone who's acting in a certain way, which you can say, oh, that person seems very excited. You see, you don't need to say angry. You could say excited. You could go, whoo, that person's very energetic and excited, right? Because that can apply to happiness as well. But if you walk around and go, oh, look at that idiot, look at them, they're absolutely dumb, stupid, they're a narcissist. Well, folks, that's coming from a really narcissistic point of view. You see? If you can look at someone who's caught up with so much contrast, if you can look at that person and say, wow, that person's got some love in there. Well, folks, that's coming from a state of mind of love. Now, what I'm saying in this whole module, folks, is the idea of blame comes from you sitting in a state of mind of blame towards yourself first. Very few people blame others before they internally blame themselves for something. The need to blame others comes from the need to judge. And it comes from you judging yourself first because you think you've got to sit at a certain standard, you see, to please others. You don't need to please anybody. And therefore, you don't need to judge anyone. Now, what I've spoken about in terms of stop blaming yourself and stop judging yourself is ideas of perception, because this is where blame and judgment comes in. We judge one thing over another because we see reality as opposites. What I'm trying to say is, if you were able to see how the world, in all of its strange and wonderful expressions, and sometimes often contrasting expressions, shall we say, right? If you're able to view all of these expressions of existence as one, okay? And when I say as one, if you could view these expressions as individual infinite expressions of the one creator, then that way you're going to be able to look past all things without judgment. You see? Now, there's an actual test which I'm going to put you through, which many students in ancient times have been put through in order to look past things with differences and being able to see the whole, which means getting rid of judgment and blame. And it's to do with the symbol yin-yang. I want you to pull up yin-yang on your computer, or if you really want to be creative, you can draw yin-yang on a piece of paper, but however you want to do it, get yourself an image of yin-yang. And what I want you to do is look at that image. And I want you right now, okay, once you've got the image, you can pause the audio and then come back to it. Once you have the image, I want you right now to look at that image and tell me, what is it you see? Now, I want you to be really honest. I want you to give me your first answer, right? What do you see when you look at yin-yang? Well, the common answers are, you see black and white. You see two parts. You see two dots. You see two things that look like tears or tadpoles or whatever. There's been loads of weird and wonderful descriptions of what yin-yang is. My main point is you're going to tell me that you see opposites, right? If you look past the black and the white, if you actually subtract the black and the white and the two dots, you're going to be left with a whole circle. And the whole point is the yin-yang symbol is full of so many expressions about how nature and creation works. I'm not going to get into it here, because it's going to digress far too much from the point. But the symbol yin yang, to those who understand it, it has a whole story in there about the story of creation, about how things come together. But the whole point of the yin yang is for you to be able to look past everything that appears as separate and be able to see the one circle which encompasses all of that creation. And therefore, you will see all that appears as separate as one. If you can even understand what I'm talking about and finally see and look at the yin yang and understand that, that is a wonderful way to view the world. It's a wonderful way to view anybody that you know. It's a wonderful way to view your social circle. Everything is one, infinitely expressed in unique expressions. Okay? But everything is one. Therefore, when it comes to judging yourself, you're only judging yourself because you're failing to look at yourself as a whole, right? You're judging yourself through ego because the higher part of yourself does not judge. You see? You can only judge yourself when you're separated from your higher being. But when you get in touch with your higher being, all judgment disappears. And this is why you need to get in touch with your whole self. Because when you get in touch with your whole self, which is love, then, my friends, love knows no judgment because true love is unconditional. So, folks, this concludes Module 15. We are well on our way to finishing your self-love and law of attraction course. Have a wonderful day and God bless you, and I'll speak to you very soon, okay? Bye-bye.